Hi. I wanted to show you guys something here before we get started. I'm gonna pass it around, but I'm gonna keep talking. This is a photo that my husband took of me, and I don't even know why he took this photo this day. It's not anything triggering, but I just want you guys to see that before I came to Vogue and what you look at today. So you can start it this way. Monty first. So, and make sure you touch the screen so it don't go out too, you guys. Is it there? Okay. So, from that photo that's going around right now, that's when I was pretty much at my lowest, that I can say. My drinking had went over a span of 30 years, but within that 30 years, it got really bad within the last 10 years before I decided to go and get help for myself. As a young girl, I grew up with an alcoholic father. My father meant the world to me. He never abused us. He took really good care of us, but he just had a drinking problem. He loved to drink. And I guess at that young age, you know, seeing my father drink, I started watching shows that drew me into scenarios of drinking, like the Little Orphan Annie, Carol Burnett. Like, I love Carol Burnett. Like, I don't know if you guys are old enough to know who she is, but she was great. She's a great actor, but she also played a drunken, orphan manager. And I could just remember at this young age, I just used to go into this mode of acting like Carol Burnett, to the point where I would go into our bathroom in our home and just, find something to drink, even if it was Pepto-Bismol, and pretend that I was drinking whiskey at like 8 or 9 years old. So from that point on, with my fascination with drinking alcohol, my mother, she did keep alcohol in our home, but she wasn't a drinker. But the alcohol that she did keep in the home, I would go and sneak into it at around 12 years old, and I would take, drinks here and there. And then I would put water in it to dilute it so that she didn't recognize that anybody had been drinking it. I think the only person who knew that I was drinking would be my sister here. She knew that I would drink, from time to time. We were both young, and, the type of, people that we grew up around, and also with, being around certain family members, it wasn't a big deal to us back then, to get into things like that without, our parents, even noticing. My drinking continued. I later on, it would be an off and on thing. I pretty much drank, in the beginning because I had really bad anxiety, PTSD from seeing a lot of different things growing up in the city of Portland. We grew up around family members that, had addictions, also sex trafficking, pimping and pandering, what you name it, we seen it. And, those things to us, was glamorized back then. And so I learned at an early age how to make money, without even having a job. Like, if I had to sell drugs or sell myself, it just was something that just came natural. Not to say I did have family members who also owned businesses and owned property and also was well educated. And so those are routes that I didn't have to take, but I took them anyways because I just, I gravitated to that. And so I ended up having kids at a really early age, teenager. I was a teenager when I had my first daughter at 17. And, I like to club and party. I like to go out and I like to drink and hang out with my friends. That's what I did. I moved out of the city that I had grew up in, Portland, Oregon, after a while because it became too dangerous for me to raise my children here. So I moved to Phoenix, and I also continued to drink throughout all of this. By the time I got to Phoenix, I slowed down a little bit because I didn't know anybody, so I kind of like slowed down, moved my kids to the suburbs and, tried to raise them the right way, Throughout all that, I still remained a devoted mother and loving mother to my kids, but they did witness me drinking a lot in the home. They also witnessed me spazzing out, having fights. I used to like to fight men, my boyfriends, it didn't matter. always find just guys to date that didn't really respect me and cheated on me and did all these things. So it would always keep me in, you know, arguments or fights, drinking, and you have it, I mean, everything. Then I would say that I kind of slowed down after I had my third daughter, and I kind of like, you know, stopped drinking as much, tried to control it myself, always tried to stop, but I always end up going back to it because that was what I was used to doing. And plus it helped me with my anxiety. So if I was to be around a crowd of people, like I could never talk in a room like this before sober. I would have to have something because I didn't know how to, you know, relax around people, or I would feel awkward, you know, around people that didn't know me. So it was hard. I would just have to have a drink right away as soon as I get there. Where's the alcohol? Or I bring my own. I would say after I had my daughter, my drinking did slow down, like I said, but I still drink. You know, on the weekends, and I still made time to kind of go out and still party. I found new friends. I also moved to Phoenix with my husband now, who at the time was my boyfriend. So we were back and forth, and we used to argue a lot because of my drinking. And you know, at the time, he drank too because I would drink, so he would drink. But he wasn't an alcoholic because there's times that I would wake up and start drinking, and he would have coffee, and he would just look at me like, "Why are you drinking?" And it was like, because I needed to calm down, or whatever the reason was. I just felt like I needed to drink. So that went on, like I said, before I came to Vogue, I was an everyday drinker for like 10 years. Every day, every other day. And when I say every other day, the only time I took time off was so that I can wear my alcohol down enough so I can get really fucked up, you know, when I drink again. So I'm like, you know what, I've been drinking too much and I'm not really feeling it, or I feel sick, so let me stop for a day so that I can rest, and then I'm gonna go back because I'm really gonna feel it then, you know. It's just a whole mind thing. It was crazy. So I would say that doing that for like every day, every other day for 10 years, it started to wear on me. I neglected my kids. I neglected my family. You know, when people would ask me to go out and, you know, come out with me and, you know, let's go out and hang out, I would always have an excuse because I'd rather sit at home and drink. And I would just sit wherever I was. Like every drinker has a designated drinking area, or every drug addict has a designated area where they gotta get high or drunk. Mine was either the garage, if I lived in the house, or it was on the back patio. And that back patio was the last patio that I drank on. And as you can see, that patio is dark, and that was as dark as my life was. And I was sad, I was depressed, I cried. My dad died, and he didn't die from alcohol, but he died from natural causes. And he was sober when he died. But when my dad died, it did something to me because he was like, he was the best dad. He was the best dad ever. And I wish he could be here and see this today for me, because he just meant everything to me. And so when I would drink, I would think about my dad, and I would cry. I would call my mom, I call my sister, my kids. I tell them, you know, they're like, "Mom, you know," it just got really, really dark for me. Like to the point I felt like I didn't even want to live. And I remember being in my house one day, and I had been drinking like for days and just sick, throwing up. That was my daily routine. I would drink so much that I would get sick, and I would throw up, and I would start it all over again. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, so I talked to myself like, "Bitch, how long you gonna do this? Like, you really gonna sit here and just drink your life away like this? Like, you don't care about your grandkids, you don't care about your kids, you know, not to mention my son is a full-blown addict. My son is 26 years old, he's a meth head. He's in and out of jail. And I had to deal with that, and on top of me dealing with my own addiction. So I told myself, I'm like, no, you're not gonna deal with this every day. You're gonna get yourself better, because you are better than this, you're stronger than this. And plus you gotta show your son, if you can do it, he can do know what I mean? Like my baby, my only son, like, you know, if he died, like I don't know what I would do, you know? So I'm like, I gotta get it together, you know, I gotta try, you know, to get it together so I can be an example to my children. So that's what I did. You know, I called the first number that it came up on my phone. I had Googled a number. I Googled a rehabilitation center in the Phoenix area, and Vogue came up. I had no idea that my life was going to change that day. It was March 28th. I called the Vogue Center, and they said, well, we don't have any places here in Phoenix, but we do have a place in Tarzana, California, where you can go, and it's going to be 30 days, but we do have a detox here. No, so, excuse me, they have a detox center there, but they didn't have the 30 days for me to stay. And I said, okay, that's fine. They're like, yeah, we can fly you out, we can do all this stuff, and it just sounded like heaven. I'm like, okay, great, let's do it, you know. And they're like, well, we just got to make sure your insurance is good. And I'm like, okay, so I give them my insurance information, and everything checked out. And I was like, wow, I'm really going. So I get up, you know, I wake my husband up and I tell him, like, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing. So he looks at me like, what? Like, why? You know, like, why such extreme measures when I could have just probably stopped on my own? Well, I've tried that, like, tons of times. But what I came here to tell everybody today, when I came to Vogue, I didn't come here to play. Like, I came here to get my shit together. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you guys all have it in you to get it together. If you came here, take this step and get it done. The tools that they teach you here, take it home with you, because that's what I didn't have. I didn't have no tools. All those times I tried to stop on my own, I didn't have this personalized experience that you get here at Vogue. You see what I'm saying? Like, you might go anywhere else and you may feel like a number. I think I heard someone say that outside. But here you don't feel like a number. You feel like who you are. They show you who you are here. They pull that out of you. You know, when I came here, I can say not one positive thing about myself. I stood in the same room and I cried when I had 50 positive affirmations that I couldn't even get one of those words out of my mouth when I first walked through this door. I didn't know who I was. But when I left here, I knew exactly who I was, what I was going to do, and I did it. Not only did I do it, I wrote a book about it. And that book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble right now. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. And that's what I came here to tell you guys all today. Thank you.